The morning light filtered through the crystal walls of the palace and painted everything in shades of violet and gold. Princess Zara stood before her mirror and stared at the reflection she had learned to hate. Her skin was blue, not the elegant purple of her eldest sister, not the shimmering silver of her middle sister, just blue, deep blue like the forbidden oceans of the outer planets that nobody visited anymore. She traced her fingers along her cheek and felt the smooth coolness of her skin. 23 cycles of life and every single day had reminded her that she was different, wrong, defective. The servants whispered when they thought she could not hear. The courtiers looked away when she passed. Even her own mother struggled to meet her eyes during family gatherings. Today would be worse than usual. The humans were coming. Zara had read the reports about these strange aliens who had appeared at the edge of Celestian space 3 months ago. They traveled in ships that moved faster than anything the Empire had ever seen. They spoke dozens of languages. They came from a small blue and green planet they called Earth, and they wanted to talk about trade and friendship and alliances. Her father, the Emperor, had been suspicious at first. The Celestian Empire did not need friends. They had conquered 12 star systems and ruled over 40 billion subjects. But the humans had technology that intrigued the Imperial scientists. Medical advances, energy systems, weapons that could crack planets. So father had agreed to meet with them, and he had chosen Zara to be the official greeter. Not because she was valuable. Not because she was skilled at diplomacy, but because if something went wrong and if the humans turned out to be dangerous, and if the meeting ended in disaster, then the Empire would only lose the daughter that nobody wanted anyway. Zara pulled on her formal armor. The black and silver plates were cold against her skin. She fastened each piece with practiced movements and tried not to think about what the armor represented. Protection, status, the illusion that she mattered. Her attendant knocked softly on the door, a young woman named Lyra who had kind eyes and who never stared at Zara's skin the way others did. Princess, the human ship has entered orbit. They will arrive at the palace within the hour. Zara nodded and took one last look at herself in the mirror. The armor made her look almost normal, almost important, but she knew the truth underneath. The walk to the Great Hall felt longer than usual. Every step echoed through the empty corridors. Zara passed portraits of her ancestors. All of them had proper coloring, purple and silver and sometimes gold. Never blue. She was the first mistake in 1,000 years of perfect bloodlines. The Great Hall was already filled with courtiers when she arrived. Hundreds of them dressed in their finest clothes, and all of them there to witness the arrival of the humans. They turned to look at her as she entered, and she saw the familiar expressions: pity, disgust, relief that they were not her. Zara walked down the center aisle with her head high. She had learned long ago that showing weakness only made things worse. Her father sat on his throne at the far end of the hall. Her 2 sisters stood on either side of him, and they both looked beautiful and perfect as always. Father did not smile when Zara approached. He rarely smiled at her. Remember your training, daughter. Do not embarrass the Empire. The humans are curious creatures and they may ask strange questions. Answer with dignity. If things become difficult, I will intervene. Yes, Father. And try not to let them see too much of your skin. The armor helps, but keep your hands folded when possible. The words stung, but Zara had heard worse. She bowed and took her position at the base of the throne platform. The other courtiers arranged themselves along the walls. Everyone waited. The doors opened. 3 figures entered the hall and Zara felt her breath catch. The humans were small, much smaller than she had expected. Where Celestians stood nearly 8 feet tall, these creatures barely reached 6 feet. They wore strange uniforms in dark blue with gold trim and symbols that Zara did not recognize. The one in the center walked with confidence despite his size. He had hair the color of sand and skin that was pale like dawnlight. His eyes were brown, earth brown, the color of soil and wood and things that grew. The 2 others flanked him. One was a woman with red hair that seemed to glow like fire under the hall lights. The other was a man with dark skin and a serious expression. They stopped in the center of the hall and the sandy-haired one stepped forward. He looked directly at Zara and something unexpected happened. He smiled, not a polite, diplomatic smile. Not a forced smile. a real smile that reached his eyes and made them crinkle at the corners. Zara felt something strange in her chest, a flutter, a warmth. She told herself it was just nervousness. The human placed his hand over his heart and bowed slightly. The translation device on his collar flickered to life and his voice filled the hall. It was warm, rich. Nothing like the cold, formal tones she was used to hearing. Princess Zara. On behalf of the people of Earth, I bring greetings and thanks for welcoming us to your beautiful world. My name is Captain Ryan Foster. These are my officers, Lieutenant Kate Morrison and Commander Ben Clark. We are honored beyond words to stand in your presence. The words were standard diplomatic language. Nothing special, but the way he said them. The way he looked at her while he spoke. Like she actually mattered, Zara delivered her prepared response. She welcomed them to the Celestian Empire. She spoke about the long history of her people. She expressed hope for peaceful relations. All the things she had been trained to say. But the whole time she spoke, Captain Foster watched her. And he kept smiling. When the formal greetings ended, Father invited the humans to sit at the negotiation table. Zara was meant to sit beside the humans and serve as the official liaison. She took her seat and tried to ignore how close Captain Foster was sitting. The negotiations began. Father talked about trade routes and resource exchanges. The humans talked about technology sharing and cultural programs. Lieutenant Morrison presented data on Earth's manufacturing capabilities. Commander Clark discussed defensive alliances, but Captain Foster kept glancing at Zara. She pretended not to notice. She kept her hands folded. She kept her expression neutral. But inside her hearts were beating faster than normal, and she did not understand why. After an hour, Father called for a short break. Servants brought refreshments. The courtiers mingled and whispered among themselves. Zara stood and moved toward the refreshment table and hoped she could have a moment alone. Captain Foster appeared beside her. Princess Zara, may I speak with you for a moment? His voice was quiet. Private. Zara glanced around, but everyone else was busy with their own conversations. Of course, Captain. He looked at her for a long moment. His brown eyes studied her face and she resisted the urge to turn away. I hope this does not offend you, but I have to say something. In all my years exploring the galaxy and meeting countless species and seeing wonders beyond imagination, I have never encountered anyone as beautiful as you. Zara froze. Her mind went blank. Then anger flooded through her. You mock me. The words came out sharper than she intended. Captain Foster looked shocked. Mock you? Why would I mock you? Zara felt heat rising in her cheeks. Her skin probably looked even worse when she blushed. I know what I am, Captain. I know what my people think of me. If you came here to make cruel jokes, then I suggest you reconsider. The Celestian Empire does not tolerate insults to its royal family, even from honored guests. Now Captain Foster looked genuinely confused and then concerned. Princess, I assure you, I meant every word. Your skin is the color of deep ocean water. Your eyes shine like stars. When you speak, your whole face comes alive. You are extraordinary. Nobody had ever called her extraordinary. Nobody had ever called her beautiful. And certainly no one had ever looked at her the way this human was looking at her now, like she was something precious. Zara could not sleep that night. She lay in her chambers and stared at the ceiling while her minds replayed every moment of the meeting. Every word Captain Foster had spoken. Every time he had looked at her with those warm brown eyes. Beautiful. He had called her beautiful. She got up and walked to her mirror again. The blue skin stared back at her. She tried to see what the human saw, but all she could see was the flaw that had defined her entire life. Unless he was lying. Unless it was some kind of human strategy. Maybe humans believed in flattering their hosts. Maybe it meant nothing. But his eyes had seemed so sincere. Zara spent the next morning preparing for the second day of negotiations. She chose her armor carefully. Not the formal black and silver from yesterday, but something simpler. Dark blue plates that almost matched her skin. She told herself it was just practical. She did not admit that some small part of her wondered if Captain Foster would notice. When she entered the great hall, the humans were already there. They stood near the windows, talking quietly among themselves. Captain Foster saw her first and his whole face lit up. That smile again. The one that made her hearts beat faster. Good morning, Princess Zara. I hope you rested well. She had not rested at all, but she nodded politely. Good morning, Captain. I trust your accommodations were satisfactory. More than satisfactory. Though I confess I spent most of the night reading about Celestian culture and history. Your civilization is fascinating. Most visitors found Celestian history boring. Zara felt a small flutter of pleasure that he had bothered to learn. The negotiations continued throughout the day. Father discussed military technology. The humans offered information about their defense systems. Trade agreements were drafted. Cultural exchange programs were proposed. But Zara found it hard to concentrate because Captain Foster kept finding excuses to talk to her. He asked questions about Celestian customs. He wanted to know about their art and music. He seemed genuinely interested in everything she said. During the afternoon break, Lieutenant Morrison approached Zara. The human woman had kind eyes and a warm smile. "Princess Zara, may I speak with you privately?" They moved to a quiet corner of the hall. Lieutenant Morrison studied Zara for a moment before speaking. "I hope you do not mind me being direct. I have noticed that Captain Foster seems quite taken with you, and I have also noticed that you seem surprised by his attention." Zara felt her skin darken with embarrassment. "Your captain is very kind, but I am aware of what I am. He does not need to pretend otherwise." Lieutenant Morrison frowned. "Pretend? Princess, what are you talking about?" Zara gestured to her own face. "My skin. I know it is wrong. I know I am defective. My people have made that very clear my entire life." The human woman looked shocked, then angry. "Princess Zara, I need you to understand something. On Earth, blue is one of the most beloved colors. It is the color of our sky, our oceans. It represents peace and depth and infinite possibility. When humans see blue, they think of beautiful things, but I am not on Earth. I am here, and here I am wrong." Lieutenant Morrison reached out and gently touched Zara's arm. "Then here is wrong. Not you, never you." The words hit Zara like a physical blow. She felt tears forming in her eyes, and she blinked them back quickly. Celestian princesses did not cry in public. Back on our ship, we have a saying: beauty is not about matching expectations. It is about being authentically yourself. And from what I have seen, you are one of the most authentic people I have ever met. Before Zara could respond, Commander Clark approached with a message. There was a technical issue with the trade agreement documents. Lieutenant Morrison excused herself and left Zara alone with her thoughts. That evening, there was a formal dinner to honor the human delegation. The great dining hall was filled with nobles and courtiers. Everyone wore their finest clothes. Zara sat at the high table between her sister and an elderly duke who ignored her completely. Captain Foster sat across from her. He wore a formal uniform with medals and decorations. He looked handsome in a strange foreign way, and he kept glancing at her throughout the meal. After dinner, there was music and dancing. Zara did not usually participate in these events. She preferred to slip away quietly. But as she was leaving, Captain Foster caught up with her in the hallway. "Princess Zara, would you walk with me? I would like to show you something." She hesitated. Being alone with the human captain was probably not appropriate, but something in his voice made her curious. "Where do you want to go?" "The observation deck. I noticed it yesterday. I think you will appreciate the view tonight." They walked through the quiet palace corridors. Most of the nobles were still at the dinner party. The sound of music faded behind them. Captain Foster walked beside her, and their footsteps echoed on the crystal floors. The observation deck was empty when they arrived. Huge windows looked out over the palace grounds, and beyond that, the capital city. And beyond that, the stars. Captain Foster walked to the window and gestured for Zara to join him. "Look at that." Zara looked. She had seen this view 1,000 times, but somehow tonight it looked different. "What am I looking at, Captain?" "The stars. On Earth we have a saying. We are all made of star stuff. Every atom in our bodies was forged in the heart of dying stars billions of years ago. It means we are all connected, all made of the same fundamental materials, different on the surface but the same underneath." Zara thought about that. "Why are you telling me this?" Captain Foster turned to look at her. His expression was serious now. Intense. "Because I want you to understand something, Princess. I do not care what your people think about your appearance. I do not care about their ridiculous standards of beauty. When I look at you, I see someone extraordinary, someone strong and intelligent and kind, someone who has survived years of criticism and still manages to carry herself with grace and dignity." Zara felt her throat tighten. You barely know me. I know enough. I know that when you speak about your people's history, your eyes shine with pride. I know that you treat the servants with respect when others ignore them. I know that you ask thoughtful questions and actually listen to the answers. These things matter more than skin color. No one had ever talked to her like this. No one had ever looked past her appearance to see who she actually was underneath. Captain Foster stepped closer. May, I ask you something personal. Zara nodded slowly. Has anyone ever told you that you are beautiful? Not out of duty or politeness, but because they truly meant it. No. Then I am honored to be the first. You are beautiful, Princess Zara, and I hope someday you will believe it. They stood together in silence and watched the stars. Zara felt something shifting inside her, a tiny crack in the wall she had built around her heart. She had spent her whole life believing she was worthless, but this human who barely knew her seemed to see something different. Maybe he was wrong. Probably he was wrong. But for the first time in her life, Zara wanted to believe that maybe there was another way to see herself. Captain Foster cleared his throat softly. I should let you rest. Tomorrow will be another long day of negotiations, but I am grateful for this time. For the chance to talk with you like this, as am I. Captain Ryan, please call me Ryan, then you should call me Zara, just Zara. He smiled, that warm smile again. Good night, Zara, good night, Ryan. She watched him walk away down the corridor. When he was gone, she turned back to the window and looked at her reflection in the glass. The blue skin, the uncertain eyes, the face she had hated for so long. You are beautiful. His words echoed in her mind. Maybe, just maybe, he was right. The third week of negotiations brought unexpected complications. The human delegation requested access to Celestian medical facilities. They wanted to compare biological data, study how their species might interact. Father had agreed reluctantly because the humans offered valuable technology in exchange. Zara volunteered to escort the humans to the medical research center. It was not required of her. She could have sent an aide, but she found herself looking for excuses to spend time with Ryan. That thought should have worried her. Instead, it made her feel alive in a way she had never experienced before. The medical center was deep beneath the palace. White corridors stretched in every direction. Scientists worked in laboratories filled with equipment that hummed and blinked. Dr. Venn greeted them at the entrance. She was an older woman with silver skin and sharp, intelligent eyes. Princess Zara. Captain Foster. Welcome. We have prepared everything you requested. Ryan smiled and thanked her. He had that effect on people, making them feel valued. Even the stern doctor seemed to soften around him. The examination took several hours. The humans provided biological samples, blood, tissue, genetic material. Dr. Venn ran countless tests and scans. Ryan explained that Earth was interested in understanding compatibility between species. If humans and Celestians were going to work together, they needed to know if there were health risks. Zara sat in the observation room and watched through the glass. Lieutenant Kate joined her after completing her own examination. Your medical technology is impressive. Very advanced, thank you. The Celestian Empire has always valued scientific progress. Kate was quiet for a moment. Then she spoke more softly. Can I ask you something personal, Zara? They had moved to first names over the past weeks. Zara appreciated the informality. Of course, have you noticed anything different lately? Physically, I mean. Any changes in how you feel? Zara thought about it. Actually, yes. Over the past 2 weeks, she had felt warmer than usual, more energetic. Her skin seemed to glow brighter. She had trouble sleeping, but not from exhaustion. From a restless energy she could not name. Why do you ask? Kate chose her words carefully. Our doctors noticed something in the biological scans. There appears to be a chemical process beginning in your body, something that involves hormone production and neural pathway changes. It seems to be connected to prolonged exposure to Captain Foster. Zara felt her heart skip. What do you mean? Kate pulled out a data pad and showed Zara a series of charts and graphs. We tested all 3 of us humans. Ryan shows the same changes. His body is producing unusual hormones. His brain patterns have shifted. Our medical team thinks it might be some kind of bonding response. Zara stood up so fast her chair fell backward. She felt cold suddenly, terrified, bonding. The word hung in the air between them. Kate looked concerned. You know what that means. Zara did know. Every Celestian knew. Bonding was how their species formed permanent partnerships. When two compatible individuals spent significant time together, sharing emotions and experiences, their bodies began to change. Hormones synchronized. Neural pathways adapted. Eventually, the bond became biological, permanent. Breaking a bond after it formed could cause serious illness or even death in both partners. But bonding only happened between Celestians. It required biological compatibility, genetic matching. The same species, except apparently it did not. This is impossible. Humans and Celestians are completely different species. The biology should not work. Kate nodded. That is what our doctors thought too. But the evidence is clear. Something is happening between you and Ryan. Your bodies are adapting to each other, creating compatibility where none should exist. Zara sat down again. Her mind was racing. Does Ryan know? Yes, Dr. Venn told him an hour ago. He asked me to talk to you first. He thought you might prefer to hear it from a friend. What happens now? Kate looked uncomfortable. That depends on several factors. The bond is in early stages. It could theoretically still be stopped if you separate immediately and avoid all contact. But if you continue spending time together, the bond will strengthen. Eventually, it will reach a point of no return. And if that happens, then you will be bonded for life. Your bodies will need proximity to each other to maintain health. Separation will cause physical and psychological distress. You will be connected in ways that go beyond emotion. It will be biological imperative. Zara felt panic rising in her chest. My father will never allow this. Bonding with an alien. It is forbidden, unthinkable. I am already the defective daughter. This will make me an outcast completely. Kate reached out and took Zara's hand. What do you want, Zara? Not what your father wants, not what the Empire expects. What do you want? No one had ever asked her that question before. Zara thought about the past 3 weeks. The conversations with Ryan, the way he looked at her. The feeling of being seen and valued for the first time in her life. The warmth in her chest when he entered a room. The way her whole world seemed brighter when he smiled. She thought about going back to her old life. Being the forgotten princess. The ugly one. The mistake. Spending decades alone in a palace that felt like a prison. Then she thought about Ryan. About the possibility of being bonded to someone who actually wanted her. Who thought she was beautiful? Who saw her as extraordinary instead of defective? I want him. The words came out as a whisper. I want the bond. I want Ryan. Kate squeezed her hand. Then you need to tell him that. And you both need to decide what you are willing to sacrifice for this. Ryan was waiting in the corridor outside the medical center. He looked worried. When he saw Zara, his expression shifted to relief. They told you. Yes. They stood facing each other. Other scientists passed by in the hallway, but Zara barely noticed them. I know this is complicated. I know I am asking for something that might be impossible. But I need you to know that I want this bond, Zara. I want you. Not because of some biological process. Because of who you are. Because these past weeks with you have been the best of my life. Zara felt tears forming. She let them fall. My father will forbid it. The Empire will cast me out. I will lose everything. Ryan stepped closer. You will gain everything that matters. You will gain freedom, choice, a partner who values you, and I promise I will fight for us. I will do whatever it takes. How can you be so certain? We barely know each other, I know enough. I know that you are brave and strong and kind. I know that you deserve better than a life spent believing you are not good enough. I know that when I am with you, I feel complete in a way I never have before. The bond is already forming. If we do not separate soon, it will be irreversible. Ryan reached out and took both her hands, then let it be irreversible. Stay with me, Zara. Let the bond complete. We will face whatever comes together. Zara looked into his brown eyes. She saw certainty there, conviction. No doubt at all, she thought about what Kate had asked her. What do you want? She wanted this. She wanted him. She wanted a life where she mattered. Yes. Her voice was steady now, strong. Yes, I will stay. I want the bond. I want you, Ryan. He pulled her close and wrapped his arms around her. Zara had never been held like that before. Like she was precious. Protected. Wanted. They stood together in the corridor, and around them scientists walked past and equipment beeped, and the medical center continued its work. But in that moment, Zara felt like the whole universe had shifted. She was choosing herself. For the first time in her life, she was choosing what she wanted instead of accepting what others decided she deserved. It was terrifying. It was wonderful. Ryan pulled back just enough to look at her face. "We need to tell your father. Soon. Before he finds out another way." Zara nodded. "He will be furious. Let him be furious. We are not asking for permission, Zara. We are informing him of our decision. There is a difference." She had never stood up to her father before. Never defied him. The thought made her anxious, but Ryan was right. They were not children. They were adults making a choice about their own lives. Together they walked back toward the palace. The bond hummed between them now, growing stronger with every passing moment. Zara could feel it, a warmth in her chest, a sense of connection that went deeper than words. She was bonding to a human, an alien, someone her people would see as inferior, and she had never been more certain of anything in her life. The Emperor's private chambers were colder than the rest of the palace. Or maybe Zara just felt cold because of what she was about to do. Ryan stood beside her, and his presence gave her courage. Commander Clark and Lieutenant Kate waited outside. They had insisted on coming as witnesses. Father sat behind his massive desk. He looked annoyed at being summoned. Behind him, the royal crest glowed on the wall. Purple and silver, the colors of perfection, no blue. "This had better be important, daughter. I have a council meeting in an hour." Zara straightened her shoulders. She wore her armor, full formal plates. She needed the protection even if it was just symbolic. "Father, I need to inform you of something significant. Captain Foster and I have begun the bonding process." The room went silent. Father's expression did not change for several long seconds. Then his eyes narrowed. "Explain yourself." "Over the past 3 weeks, our bodies have initiated a biological bond. Our medical teams have confirmed it. The bond is already in early formation stages. We are here to inform you that we will be allowing it to complete." Father stood slowly. He was tall even for a Celestian. Imposing. He had ruled the Empire for 60 cycles and crushed countless rebellions. But Zara did not look away. "You will do no such thing. This bonding will end immediately. You will cease all contact with the human. He will return to his ship and leave our space." Ryan stepped forward. "With respect, Emperor, that is not possible. The bond has progressed too far. Separating now would cause serious medical consequences for both of us." Father's gaze shifted to Ryan. There was no warmth there, no diplomacy, just cold calculation. "Then you should have thought of that before pursuing my daughter. You came here as guests, as potential allies. Instead, you have compromised a member of the royal family." Ryan's voice remained calm but firm. "I pursued nothing inappropriate. The bond formed naturally through legitimate diplomatic interactions. Neither Zara nor I did anything wrong." "Wrong." Father's voice rose. "You are an alien, a creature from a primitive world. You have no right to bond with Celestian royalty." Ryan's jaw tightened, but he kept his composure. "Zara is an adult. She has the right to choose her own partner. Your laws do not forbid bonding with other species because you never anticipated it would be possible. Do not lecture me about our laws, human." Zara spoke up. Her voice was steady even though her hearts were racing. "Father, I am informing you of my decision, not asking permission. I choose to complete the bond with Ryan. I choose to accept him as my partner." Father turned his full attention to Zara. The weight of his disapproval was crushing. "You are already the defective daughter. The one with wrong coloring, the embarrassment of the royal line. And now you will compound that shame by bonding with an alien. Do you understand what you are throwing away? I understand that I am choosing happiness over duty. I understand that I am choosing someone who values me over a life of being invisible. You will lose your title, your inheritance, your place in the succession. The Empire will not recognize this bond. Then I will leave the Empire." The words hung in the air. Zara had not planned to say them. But once they were out, she realized they were true. Father looked shocked, then angry, then something else, something that might have been hurt but vanished too quickly to be certain. "You would abandon your people, your family, everything you have ever known. I would choose a life where I matter, where I am wanted, where I am more than just the ugly daughter that everyone wishes did not exist." Father flinched slightly at that. But his expression hardened again. If you do this, you will be exiled, banished from Celestian space. You will never be allowed to return. Your name will be removed from the royal records. You will cease to exist as far as the Empire is concerned. Zara felt tears forming, but she blinked them back. So be it. Ryan reached out and took her hand. The touch steadied her. Father looked between them, measuring, considering. Finally, he sat back down. I could prevent this. I could have the human arrested, held until his people agree to separate you. I could force you into medical intervention that would break the bond before it completes. You could try. Ryan's voice was quiet, but there was steel underneath. But I should inform you that Earth takes a very dim view of forced medical procedures. If you attempt to interfere with this bond, it will be considered an act of aggression against a human citizen. Our government will respond accordingly. Are you threatening the Celestian Empire? I am explaining consequences. We came here in friendship. We offered technology and trade and alliance. If you harm Zara or force her into something against her will, you will make an enemy of humanity. And I promise you do not want that. Father's expression was unreadable. He was silent for a long time. Zara held her breath. This could go very wrong very quickly. Father had started wars over smaller insults. Finally, the Emperor spoke. Very well. If my defective daughter wishes to throw away her birthright for an alien, then she may do so. But she will leave immediately. Tonight, she will take nothing but what she can carry, and she will never be welcome in Celestian space again. Zara felt a mix of relief and grief. She was free, but the cost was everything she had ever known. I understand, Father, do you? You will be alone. Without family. Without home. The humans may tire of you. They may regret this bond, and you will have nowhere to return. Then I will build a new home. With Ryan. Father stood and turned his back to them. A dismissal, leave my sight. Both of you. They left the chambers in silence. In the hallway, Kate and Commander Clark waited anxiously. How did it go? We are leaving tonight. Zara's voice was steady. I am exiled. Kate looked sad but not surprised. She hugged Zara tightly. I am sorry, but you made the right choice. Commander Clark stepped forward. Our ship is ready whenever you are. You will have a place with us. A home. Thank you. They walked through the palace one last time. Zara looked at the crystal walls and the portraits of her ancestors, and the grand halls where she had spent her entire life feeling unwanted. She tried to feel sad, nostalgic, something. Instead, she felt light. Her chambers were exactly as she left them. The mirror still reflected her blue skin. But when Zara looked at herself now, she saw something different. Not a defect, just a person. Someone choosing her own path. She packed quickly. A few clothes. Some personal items. A data crystal with images of her homeworld. She hesitated over her formal armor, then left it behind. She would not need it anymore. Ryan helped her carry her belongings to the landing platform. The human ship waited there, sleek and silver against the night sky. Lieutenant Kate and Commander Clark were already aboard preparing for departure. Zara took one last look at the palace. Somewhere inside, her sisters were sleeping. Her father was probably already working on how to explain her disappearance to the court. In a few days, it would be like she never existed. Ready? Ryan's voice was gentle. He understood what this moment meant. Zara turned away from the palace. From her old life. From everything familiar. Yes, I am ready. They boarded the ship together. The ramp closed behind them with a soft hiss. Zara felt the engines power up. Through the viewports, she watched as the palace grew smaller. The city lights faded. The planet itself became just another sphere in space. She was leaving everything behind, but she was not alone. Ryan stood beside her at the viewport. He slipped his hand into hers, no regrets. It was not quite a question, but Zara answered anyway. No regrets. The ship jumped to faster than light travel. Stars stretched into lines, and Zara felt the bond pulse in her chest, growing stronger, more certain, more permanent with every passing moment. She was bonded to a human, exiled from her people, starting over with nothing but hope and courage. And for the first time in her life, she felt beautiful. Earth was nothing like Zara expected. The ship emerged from faster than light travel, and suddenly there it was. A blue and green sphere hanging in the darkness. Clouds swirled across its surface. Oceans glittered under sunlight. It was beautiful in a wild, untamed way that the ordered perfection of Celestian worlds never achieved. Ryan stood beside her at the observation window. His face had the expression of someone coming home after a long journey. There she is. Earth. Home. Zara felt nervous butterflies in her stomach. Both hearts were beating faster than normal. She was about to meet Ryan's people, his family, his world. What if they rejected her? What if they saw her blue skin and thought she was strange or ugly just like her own people had? Ryan seemed to sense her anxiety. He squeezed her hand gently. They are going to love you. I promise. How can you be so certain? Because I love you, and anyone who knows me will understand why. It was the first time he had said those words directly. I love you. Zara felt warmth spread through her chest. The bond pulsed in response. I love you too. The ship descended through Earth's atmosphere. Zara watched continents and oceans pass below. Cities glittered like scattered jewels. Mountains rose in jagged peaks. Everything seemed alive in a way that sterile Celestian cities never felt. They landed at a facility that Ryan called a spaceport. It was busy with ships and people and vehicles, nothing like the quiet, orderly landing platforms of the Empire. Here everything moved and bustled and hummed with energy. A crowd waited as they disembarked, humans of all different colors and sizes. Some had dark skin, some had pale skin, some were in between. Hair in every shade imaginable, clothing in wild patterns and bright colors. At the front of the crowd stood an older couple. The woman had graying red hair and kind eyes. The man was tall with silver hair and Ryan's smile. Mom. Dad. Ryan pulled them both into a hug. Zara hung back uncertainly. She had never met anyone's parents before. Celestian royal bondings did not involve family approval. The woman pulled back from Ryan and immediately looked at Zara. Her eyes went wide. Oh my, you must be Zara. Ryan told us so much about you. Welcome to Earth, dear. She moved forward and hugged Zara. Just wrapped her arms around her without hesitation. Zara stood frozen for a moment, then carefully hugged back. It felt strange, warm, nice. Ryan's father extended his hand in the human greeting gesture. Tom Foster. Pleasure to meet you, Zara. My son has done nothing but talk about you for weeks. Zara shook his hand carefully. She was still getting used to human customs. Thank you for welcoming me. I know this must be unusual. Tom laughed. Unusual is one word for it. My son bonding with an alien princess and starting an interstellar incident. That is pretty typical for Ryan, actually. He always did like to do things the hard way. Ryan groaned. Dad, please do not embarrass me in front of my bonded partner. Too late, son. That is what parents are for. The casual teasing confused Zara at first. But then she saw the warmth underneath, the love. This family actually liked each other, enjoyed each other's company. It was so different from the cold formality of the imperial family. Ryan's mother linked her arm through Zara's. Come, dear. Let us get you settled. You must be exhausted from the journey. We have a room prepared for you both. And I made dinner. I hope you can eat human food. Ryan was not entirely sure about the biology. Over the next weeks, Zara discovered Earth. Ryan took her everywhere. They walked on beaches where blue water crashed against sand. They hiked through forests where trees grew wild and birds sang. They visited cities where millions of humans lived and worked and created art and music and technology. Everywhere they went, people stared. But not with the disgust Zara was used to. With curiosity, fascination, many came up to talk to her, asked questions about her world, wanted to know about her experiences. Some children approached her with wide eyes. One little girl with dark skin and bright eyes tugged on her mother's sleeve. Mommy, look. She is blue like the ocean. She is so pretty. The mother smiled apologetically at Zara. I am sorry. She does not mean to be rude. Zara knelt down to the child's level. I am not offended. Thank you for the compliment. Are you a princess? I was on my homeworld. But not anymore. Why not? Because I chose something more important than being a princess. I chose love. The little girl thought about that very seriously. That was a good choice. I think so too. Ryan's parents invited them for dinner every week. His mother taught Zara how to cook human food. His father showed her human music and art. They treated her like family, like she belonged. One evening, several months after arriving on Earth, Ryan took Zara to a place he called the ocean shore. The sun was setting. The sky turned colors Zara had never seen. Orange and pink and purple all blending together. They walked along the beach. Waves washed over their feet. The water was cool and refreshing. Ryan, I need to tell you something. He looked concerned. What is wrong? Nothing is wrong. Everything is right. I am happy, Ryan, truly happy. For the first time in my life, I wake up every morning and feel grateful to be alive. He smiled and pulled her close. I feel the same way. The bond completed fully last week. Did you notice? Zara had noticed. The connection between them was permanent now. Unbreakable. Their bodies had fully adapted to each other. She could feel his emotions like echoes of her own. When he was happy, she felt warm. When he was worried, she felt protective. It was intimate in a way she never imagined possible, I noticed. It feels right. They sat on the sand and watched the sunset. Ryan pulled out a small box. I know we are already bonded, but humans have a tradition. When two people want to spend their lives together, they exchange rings. Symbols of commitment. He opened the box. Inside was a ring made of silver metal with a blue stone. That stone is called a sapphire. It is the same color as your beautiful skin. I had it made specially for you. Zara felt tears forming. Happy tears this time. Ryan placed the ring on her finger. Zara, formerly of the Celestian Empire. Will you marry me? By human custom and human tradition? Yes, yes, I will marry you. He kissed her then. Long and sweet and full of promise. Around them, the ocean crashed against the shore. Above them, stars began to appear in the darkening sky. The same stars that shone over her old home. But here they looked different, brighter, more beautiful. They married 3 months later. A human ceremony on the beach with friends and family. Lieutenant Kate was the officiant. Commander Clark stood as Ryan's witness. Ryan's mother cried happy tears. His father made a toast about love crossing the stars. Zara wore a dress the color of ocean water. Her blue skin glowed in the sunlight. She had never felt more beautiful. Years passed. Zara and Ryan built a life together. She studied human culture and history. She worked as a translator, helping facilitate communication between Earth and other species. She made friends, found purpose, created meaning. Sometimes she thought about her old home, wondered if her sisters ever thought about her, if her father ever regretted his harshness. But those thoughts came less frequently as time went on. One day news arrived. The Celestian Empire wanted to reopen diplomatic relations with Earth. They sent an official delegation. They wanted to negotiate new trade agreements, and they specifically requested that the negotiations be conducted through Zara. Ryan found her standing at their window, looking out at the ocean. You do not have to do this. You do not owe them anything. Zara thought about it carefully. Then she smiled. No, but I want to. I want them to see what I became. Who I became. I want them to see that the defective daughter built something beautiful. The Celestian delegation arrived 2 weeks later. Zara met them wearing human clothes. Her blue skin uncovered, no armor, no attempt to hide. Her middle sister was part of the delegation. She looked the same. Perfect purple skin, silver accents. But when she saw Zara, her expression was complex. Surprise, envy, something that might have been regret. Zara, you look well, thank you. I am well, very well. They negotiated for 3 days. Zara was professional, courteous, fair, but she did not let them take advantage. She stood her ground, protected Earth's interests, showed strength and intelligence and capability. On the final day, her sister asked to speak privately. Father was wrong. About you. About everything. Zara considered that. Yes, he was. I am sorry. For how we treated you. For making you feel worthless. Thank you. But I do not need your apology anymore. I found people who see my worth. Who celebrate what makes me unique. I am happy now. Her sister looked sad. I envy you. That courage. That freedom. I am still trapped in the perfect life. And I am miserable. Zara felt compassion for her sister. But also clarity. Then leave. Make your own choice. Find your own happiness. It is never too late. After the delegation left, Ryan held Zara close. You were amazing. So strong, so confident. I learned from the best. They stood together and watched the sunset. Blue sky fading to purple and orange. The bond hummed between them. Permanent. Perfect. Right. Zara thought about the girl she had been. The one who believed she was ugly, defective, wrong, that girl was gone. In her place was a woman who knew her worth, who chose her own path, who built a life full of love and meaning. She had left behind a crown to find herself, and she would make that choice again every single time.